Hi folks, Rick Berube here live with Dan Mumm at the Success Center. Okay, this is our last one because now, we were using these to fill in because the Success Center was closed. Now it's open.
Yep, now it's open. No
Come on
excuse.
down. There are
Get
people
back
here, people out there setting appointments, role playing. We have people in the class today, so come on down and learn how to do this stuff. Learning, thank you, Paul. Ooh.
Yeah, we got sound effects.
I even got my little clown horn. Perfect. All right. So anyway, so you should be doing. Look at whatever you're going to do. Now's the time to start, or what you've been thinking about doing. Now's the time to implement. Before we get into that, the numbers. Tell us about the numbers.
Yeah. So in the last 7 days in Vegas, there were 1,084 new properties that went under contract. Around 900 new listings on the market. So that's the same trend.
Oh, it's a deficit now.
Yeah.
There's fewer listings.
It's been like that the last 2 or 3 weeks, where there's more properties going under contract than listings that are coming on. So yeah, inventory is getting lower.
So that's even becoming more of a seller's market.
Yeah, even more than before. What's interesting is so if you think about that, 1,100 properties, give or take, going under contract a week, that comes out to 4 weeks, that's 4,400. Not all of those will close, obviously. There's stuff that falls out, but that's over 4,000 closings. So I know some people are worried because last month we saw 2,000 closings, but what we're seeing now for next month will probably project to about 4,000 closings, is my guess.
Right,
So,
4,000 closings, and that's actually ahead of March's pace.
yeah.
But by a decent amount.
Yeah, 4,000 is a lot for our market. That's a lot.
I don't think I've ever seen it quite that high. So that's great. And Forrest does this interesting graph where it shows active listings, before it happened, and it had this huge dip, and now they've come back together, and actually the under contracts are going ahead, just like you just said, of the listings. So this is the whole idea. Okay, so this is our last one live on Facebook, but you guys can come down to the Success Center. I know Dan just quoted Las Vegas numbers, but I'll tell you that I see them all of our markets, and probably the slowest one to recover is the desert, Palm Desert, because I think the restrictions were higher and so forth. Okay, so, but those are almost back too. Nevada, Arizona are pretty much right back on the same pace as prior to this, and I think what we're going to see is it might even exceed. I would not be shocked if it exceeded by a decent amount, 10,
Right.
15, 20%.
Yeah.
I mean, the trajectory it's on, it's not going up and then starting to level. It's still going up in that direction. So if that continues, so what does that all mean to you? The person that's getting back into this, 100% hopefully. Some of you had never stopped, like Dan and a bunch of the people that come here. You never stopped working, okay? I know I've never stopped working. But if you took a little pause because of this, great. All right, what are you going to do now? You got 6.5 months of the year left ahead of you, plenty of time to close all kinds of business. And as we were talking early on in this whole thing, most top agents close, I would say 60 to 70% of their business in 2 or 3 serious runs, okay, in the year. And sometimes they last for a while. We all have peaks, we all have valleys.
Yep.
So what are you going to do differently? Any thoughts for them?
Yeah, so one thing that I would keep in mind that we haven't really talked about is that I understand this whole issue is an anomaly and we've never experienced it before and probably never will again. But at the same time, there's always stuff like this. There's always things like this that come up. There's always going to be something, right? If it's not coronavirus, then there's riots going on, or then there's like when iBuyers first came out. Remember that? All the agents thought their business was going to go away and they started freaking out. So where I'm going with this is there's always something, and to what we talked about on the last time we spoke, it's all about controlling your mindset. That's it. Because there's agents that in any of these things that happen, they end up doing better or keeping the same pace, and then there's agents that just fall off and aren't able to make things work. So you're always going to have these things. It's just a matter of how well you're able to deal with it and how committed you are to just keeping those habits.
It's actually, when you were saying that, it reminds me of a Saturday Night Live skit. You ever heard Rosanna Dana?
Yeah.
It's always something.
Yeah.
And I love that. By the way, Google that or go on YouTube and type in Rosanna Dana. It's hilarious. But anyway, I agree with you 100%. It's always something, and you have to be, look, and I think I told this class years ago, is that my first disruptor in real estate, believe it or not, was the internet. Right? Yeah. When the internet came, I've been selling real estate for about 7 or 8 years, clipping along, and then I come up with the internet. And my little joke is when Al Gore, because he tried to take credit for it, invented the internet, which he didn't, but he said, they said, I hope you like your job because in 5 years, you won't be necessary. Really? That's what they told us back then. Or there was, reports. And then look, 35 years later, it's still, because the personal touch part of this business, okay? Now, I know today that personal touch has been augmented slightly, but I think we're going to go back to 99, 95%. Like even you were giving people the option of, we can meet virtually, and then now, given the option, 90% of them want to meet with you.
Yeah, everyone. I haven't. It's strange, but I've never really done one virtual presentation. I always gave people the option, and they would just the people that I spoke to didn't really seem to be
right or wrong. People are over it, and
right.
if you take
and I'm not saying I don't agree or disagree. I'm just saying that's what the public perceives from a business standpoint. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, and you know what they like? It's like when you have an issue with your health, you want to talk to the doctor, meet with them. They call it hands-on. The doctor wants to be hands-on too. It's the same thing when you're spending all kinds of money. You want to talk to the person, meet with them, even if it's far away with a mask on, with gloves on, whatever. You still want to sit down and talk to the person because these are big decisions. And that's why what Dan and what we teach you here at the Success Center is so important is communicating with people effectively. So this whole round robin of where I started was, if you're going to decide to make a change in your business, let me help you with one. Decide to become a listing agent to the best of your ability, which means learning how to communicate effectively, have conversations. I think Carlos Kaipa just sent me this morning, there was an article about how calling was dead until they actually did the numbers. And I'm like, oh wow, 78% of appointments are set by the phone. And
right.
phone calling, door knocking is not dead. As a matter of fact, today it's almost the new thing again. It's make like a complete. So when you're talking, if you're going out meeting with people, it shows a whole different commitment level. Now look, if you're in California, you may want to wait a few weeks to go door knocking. Arizona, they're already doing it, and here, agents are already doing it. Just be respectful. If it's my farm, I want to be the first one out there.
Yeah.
Right? I want to set the stage.
Yeah, anything that you can use to separate you from everyone else, I think is what you should do.
Absolutely, and that's a big point. And when you're prospecting consistently, you are separating yourself.
Yeah, that was my whole theory in working during this 2-month period. I was freaked out just like everyone was, right? We're all humans.
Yeah.
But like pretty quickly I realized, hey, this is gonna be a huge opportunity because if there's less people working and I'm working, well then it's just easier, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So if you didn't catch the boat this time, the next time there's some global crisis or some issue or thing that comes up in the business that causes most people's mindset to become negative, look at that as an opportunity for you to grow your business because it just makes things easier. And it's always going to happen. There's no shortage of bad news, right? It's just going to keep happening. So, and it's unfortunate because the world is actually a better place than it was 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago.
True.
It's way more safe. The standard of living is way higher, but just because of all the influences we have, not to get too deep into mindset, but just because of all the influences we have, it's getting harder and harder for people to control what's going on in here. So if you're able to do that, that skill is becoming more and more important and it pays you better. I think I told the story about the for sale by owner that I asked them, hey, this was 2 weeks ago. I asked them, hey, why did you decide to sell on your own? And they said, oh, well, we had an agent come out, but she seemed kind of distracted and she was worried about what was going on with the coronavirus thing and she didn't really give us any solutions. She was like, she just didn't know and we need to sell the house. So we just thought the next best thing is to list it by herself. So that was a very easy listing opportunity. And that's a clear, the reason I bring that up, it's just a discrete example of like, this person's mindset was negative, so they didn't get paid. My mindset was not negative, so I did get paid. And so there's tons of examples like that. Like that's just a very clear one.
Yeah.
But that plays out all the time, every day,
So
in all of the interactions that you have when you're talking to your database, when you're door knocking, when you're holding open houses, what your energy level is. That's why your mindset's so important because it carries over to everything that we do.
So it's so true. Everything you just said. And the thing is that we have, even though we have issues in our country and there are certain things that we need to get better at, there's no question, you still live in the best country in the world and you have so many things to be grateful for. And I think because of that, you know, if you're looking for a distraction, you can always manufacture one.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, well, did you hear about this? And look at that, and oh my God, if you were this, you can always find one of those. But you live in the best, like I every now and then when I drive to work, I just look at the infrastructure we have as a town here, in any of the towns we're in. I mean, you could go through everything in your life and say, we have it pretty damn good. 95% of the world's populations would trade places with you in a heartbeat. But does that mean we're perfect? No. You know, like I like what Wayne Dyer says. There are people out there in search of reasons to be offended. But that's not a way of being productive. If there are certain things like the riots and the racial, that's all very important stuff, and you can deal with that and be part of the solution. But at the same time, you got to go to work and list and sell homes. That's your job,
right?
Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to affect your family negatively. So, have a plan. And if you need help, come down to the Success Center, okay, because taking listings should be a huge part as a real estate salesperson My little joke is money makes nothing worse. That's not a shallow statement. It's just a fact. If you can support your family better, and I'm not saying work 80 hours a week. I'm talking about, in real estate, I don't know about you, but I used to work about 50 to 55 a week. For some people, that's extreme. For me, I thought that was really a good fair trade for the amount of income I was making.
Yeah, completely agree. And the beauty of coming to this class or participating in growing your skill level is that you could work the same hours and make way more money.
That's true.
Your skills in this business, it's such a skill-based business that if you make small, iterative improvements to your skill level, you can double your income. And an example of that is charging more in your commission, which we've talked about ad nauseum. But yeah, with those little skills, if you could just make small improvements, it makes such a huge difference. So
yeah, what is that book? I can't remember the name of the book, but I think it was Crush. No, it was Atomic Habits by James Clear. You get 1% better a day, you're 37 times better after a year. But because of compound interest, your second year, you're like 3,700 times better. It's crazy how much better you get by getting a little bit better every single day. And like Dan says, then if you want to charge more commission, you can do that. I mean, there are people, you're getting 7% on 60% of your listings. I tell people in California, they're like, no way. I'm like, I'm telling you, he gets 7%, okay? And how does he do it? Asks. And that's the critical part of it, too.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts you want to leave these people?
No, that's it.
Come down to the class here, folks, okay? Get back into it. And I'm just going to throw, because I am a company guy, I'm going to throw in there, learn the new VAC 2.0, because, one of the things that Dan has done, because this is his 5th year in the business, okay? As a matter of fact, Michelle Klein, the woman I interviewed on Monday, she's only been in the business 6 years. She was number 3. I mean, you're climbing the ladder. I saw your stats. Looking good.
Yeah.
Okay, so congratulations.
Thanks.
But the thing is that you have to have a CRM. If you're going to create, the biggest complaint I hear about real estate is no residual income. Once you make a sale, it's done. That's not true. Once you make a sale and you keep in touch with people, they know people and they know people, okay? And you have to have a CRM to keep yourself organized, especially with all the tools that we have in there for you guys to do that. All you have to do is get in your names in it and set it up. And once you do that, it can be on autopilot. So definitely learn how to use that.
Yeah, it's an easy way to get business if you and it saves you a lot of time too. But you don't have random names written down on note cards and napkins from the bar and random places.
Yeah.
Right? You have it all in one. And you want to have it in one central location. That's really the key to making that work.
Absolutely, and just make sure you update it. Even if you update it a few times a week, it doesn't take a long time unless you let it go for a while. Then you're like, oh, I don't want to do that because I'm so far behind. But all the time, now not Dan because he's been, but the top producers that I interview that have been in the business more than 15 years, it's the #1 thing they say. Start, and you took that advice from the beginning. Yeah. Start with an organized CRM from the beginning, and it'll pay you. You'll get repeat and referral business a lot faster. And Dan and Michelle Klein from Arizona are perfect examples of that. So keep it rocking, you guys.
That's it.
Come on down to the Success Center. I really look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thank you.
Sounds good.